Chapter 56. Speaking of coming to rest, speaking of subsiding and equilibrium, nowhere in this book have we come to a point of utter stillness when all beings are at rest. It has been action, action, action all the way, go, 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 walking and running and sprinting, and now riding bicycles and cars and a large horse, fights and arguments, a woman with no legs hauling herself sobbing through the mud to help a friend, a small girl huddled inside a tree listening to a howling snowstorm. But let us here pause and rest. Let us see beings at rest. Let us choose a moment when the labors of the night are done and the labors of the day are not yet launched. Let us range about the hamlet and the woods and the river and the west side of the mountain and visit each being with reverence and affection. We have been with them a long time in this book, and we have come to know and appreciate them a little, at least, and let us go together and look at them sleeping and wish them well and savor their slow, regular breathing and pray for them by our silent witness. So here is Dave, sleeping on his right side, facing the slim moon, snoring gently. Here's Maria, asleep in the bear den, maps pinned on every surface, even her blanket a map of the journey of Joel Palmer on Glacier, woven by her mother. Here's the finch, sleeping in a nest of old shoestrings Maria made for her in the corner of the windowsill so the finch could see her natural element. Here's Marten, asleep in his den in the cottonwood tree, and there is his companion, asleep in her tremendous fir tree in the middle of a creek, her den smelling ever so faintly of honey. Here is Mr. Shapiro, asleep on his couch, sitting up, the only position in which he can sleep because of his back, and there is the dog asleep on the reading chair, and neither of them remembered to turn out the reading light. Here is Dave's mother, asleep curled against Dave's father like a vine against a fence, both of them dreaming of Maria. Here is Louis asleep in a bed of ferns, while near him sleep his wives and children, one of his sons sleeping on his back, with his legs folded against his chest like the biggest hairy praying mantis ever. Here's Emma Jackson, asleep on her left side, facing the slim moon, and the morning waitress on her right side, facing the huge poster of a surfer that she and everyone else always assumed was Mr. Billy Beaton, though it is not. Here is Martin's mother, asleep in her new maternal den in a cave in a ravine with her 3 new kits, and here is her daughter, Martin's sister, asleep in her own first den, a former red squirrel nest high in a fir tree that Joel Palmer himself had once leaned against for a moment to smoke a meditative pipe and eat gobbets of dried salmon. And here are Mr. and Mrs. Robinson together in their grave, garlic and tomato and bean plants rising from the soil above them. And here's Mr. Douglas asleep in his cabin. In the last days he is an unmarried man sleeping alone, wearing nothing but his threadbare wool socks under a blanket made from all the old beach towels his mother had ever given him as a child in their shack by the sea. And bobcats and coyotes and trout and herons and snakes and beetles and turtles and toads asleep, and the pike that ate the raccoon asleep, and the armies of the frogs asleep. Here is Cosmos asleep outdoors on a burlap sack on the very pillar of high stone on the mountain from which Martin saw the bear slowly climb to her ending in the approaching shadow. Here is Miss Moss asleep in her bed with her spectacles placed carefully on a table exactly 11 inches away so that in the morning her right hand can reach for them without her mind being involved quite yet. Here is Edwin asleep, standing up in his shed, and in his dream he is speaking the language of bees, and they are laughing in their strange electric way, because he's telling jokes about human beings and their odd and confusing adventures, bumbling through the delicate and impatient world. Here are Moon's parents asleep in their bed, so big it has an area code, as Moon says, but their feet are touching. Here is Moon asleep at his desk, the right side of his face pressed against a page about Bill Walton in a book about the greatest basketball players ever, pressed so firmly against the page that in the morning, ever so faintly, if you looked very carefully, you would see Bill Walton's headband on Moon's cheekbone. Here's Dave's running coach asleep, and Moon's basketball coach asleep, and falcons and snails and swans asleep, and everyone in the lodge asleep, and trees and bushes and sedges and asters and ferns asleep, and fleas and midges and mosquitoes asleep, and even all the little lakes around the mountain for an instant are still as glass, unrippled, shining, frozen without ice. For an instant, all over the west slope of the mountain, for a sliver in the river of time, every single thing inanimate and animate is utterly still, except the zigzag river, which never sleeps and is always a story that wants to be heard by the sea. At the end of July, Moon went down to the city for 2 weeks to a basketball camp at a college, and although Dave ran every morning with Cadence, worked at Miss Moss's store every afternoon, and hung out with Maria almost every evening, he found to his surprise that he really missed Moon. This was a startling state of affairs. They had been friends for years, but in the way of guys had never put in words. They've never put it in words. They just were friends, arguing and laughing and banging shoulders on the basketball court and diving into lakes and eating. Mostly it seems to me we eat, if you have to say that, okay. Mostly it seems to me we eat if you have to say what it is that we do when we do stuff, said Moon when he came back from camp in August. I mean, we eat, and then we do something or think about going to do something, and then we eat, and then we think about maybe getting something to eat. Are girls like this? What does Cadence do? Not eat, says Dave. She says she's fat, and all she eats is avocados. Me personally, I think her skin is a little green lately, but I'm not going to tell her that. You guys make out yet? What? You know what I mean. Did you go further? Moon. Well, no. No what? No, you didn't go further, or no, you didn't even make out yet? Well, no, that I don't want to talk about this, and no to the other questions also. You didn't even make out? No. Why not? She's not my girlfriend. Yet. We just go for runs and we talk, and she eats avocados, Moon. That's all. Don't you want to go further? Yes. Well, yes, I want to go further, but I'm not sure with Cadence. I'm not sure with Cadence. Who cares with who? What? You heard me. Actually, I think that should be whom there. Who cares with whom? You heard me, Dave. But that's crazy, Moon. You're actually saying to me you don't care who you do stuff with? You just want to do stuff? Who it is doesn't matter? You're actually saying this to me? Well, yes. That's crazy. Why is that crazy? Are you going to marry the first person you do stuff with, or wait or to do stuff until you're sure enough about someone to marry? That could be forever. I don't know. I haven't worked it all out yet. I want to do stuff. You bet I do, but I like Cadence and just doing stuff with her unless I really like her and she really likes me. That just seems cold. It's more complicated than just doing stuff. Is it? To me it is, I guess, says Dave. I figure I'll just wait and it'll figure itself out. Meanwhile, I just like running with Cadence and talking, although I'm not much for avocados. Also, let me point out that the guy lecturing me about being cool with just doing stuff with people who you don't even care about who they are has never done stuff or even had a date. Yet, says Moon. Actually, I'm going to have dates starting the second week of school. I'm going to ask girls out starting in September. I'm moving the program up a year from the original plan. I feel that I am ready. 1 date a week. If no one says yes in September, I'll go through October. That will be 6 total asks, and I am figuring I'll hear yes twice, so I will have a choice. I'll test drive them in November, and the winner will be Miss December, and right around Christmas we will do stuff. Girls get gooey at Christmas. Things change after you do stuff, so if she doesn't like me anymore after that, I'll take winter break to regroup and then start again second week of school in January. You have to have a plan. It's time to launch the plan. You're crazy. Am I? I'll be doing stuff by Christmas while you will be running through the snow with a green person. Who's crazy? You or me? You, says Dave, and for the first time ever he is angry with Moon. Really angry. So angry that he has a sour taste in his mouth. Because, he says, after you do stuff with someone you don't even like, if you get that far, and she gets it that you don't even like her, and all you wanted was to do stuff, she'll be so hurt, even you will feel like shit. Mark my words. I know you, man. This is not you. This is some weird cocky you, and it stinks. Did you go to basketball camp or idiot camp? Don't be such a geek, Dave. This isn't like when our parents were kids and had to get permission slips to make out. Things have changed. Have they? Girls don't feel bad anymore when guys are jerks? Is that so? Man, what's with you? You spend too much time with Cadence while I was gone? You look a little green too, come to think of it. I'm out. See ya. Dave, come on. No need to get mad. Let's go eat. Maybe this is a goof, says Dave, in which case I am a prize idiot and you got me. But even if it's a goof, it's slimy. There's guys who do think like this, right? Guys who are going to ask my sister out on a date just so they can do stuff. Guys who don't care what kind of person she is at all? 9 years from now, Maria's the girl who gets asked out in September so she can be Miss December? I'm out. Call me when you want to play ball. Dave. But indeed, Dave is out, and Moon watches him run smoothly across the vast lawn of the vast house, and he feels like an ass. He makes a sandwich and then, for no reason, does the laundry and even folds the sheets and towels for no reason.